Reading from the Caitanya-bhāgavata Antya-khaṇḍa, chapter 4. So text 391. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ithe eka vaiṣṇavera pakṣa hoy, anya vaiṣṇavera ninde, say yāya kṣaya. Therefore, if one takes the side of one Vaiṣṇava and blasphemes another, he is doomed. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Caitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sa Padantikam Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaiṣṇavebhyo Namo Namah. Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasade Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So greetings from Sridhampur, Mayapur. Some of you have been at the place where I can stay, but from the living room window, you can see the yoga pit, the birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it's Odaryadam. Each holy place, every place has a potency. That's why it's described in the Bhagavatam, the sages were meeting at Naimisharanya, because it had a particular flavor and a particular potency. Of course, most places, the potency is due to the modes of nature. I once wrote an article about the creation of New York City or something, according to the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, just describing how, being a rock island, it was good for commerce, and it attracted passionate people, and passionate people produce other passionate people, which attract other passionate people. And then they create their environment to satisfy their internal mood. So again, the environment, the sounds, the sights, the objects of the senses are in that particular mood. And therefore, when you go to New York City, it definitely has a potency for passion, and passion means more and better. And people who are in that mood, they gravitate towards that and they get nourished by that. So every single place has a potency. And spiritual places have a potency. Not just the modes, but something very, very internal. But just from a common way that Prabhu once says that, we go to the holy places not because we are so qualified to extract what's there, but because there are people there that are. And you'll find that. I wrote an article, Monday Morning Greetings, Sadhus of Vrindavan. So, and these particular Dhams have the mood to facilitate God's manifestation of himself as Swayam Bhagavan. It's just kind of like a philosophical speculation. Some things I'm creative, but I think they have the right conclusions, and it seems to me that what Krishna means is not there's one God. Vedanta tat tattva vidas tattva yajganam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdate. Vedanta tat tattva, those who know tattva, what do they say? That Vedanti tat tattva yajganam advayam, that there's a reality which nothing is outside of. And that reality manifests in three ways: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. It's not that there are three things. There's one thing which is manifest in different ways, just like Prabhupada gave the example. You see a mountain in the distance. It may have villages like in the Himalayas, but from the distance, it looks like an homogeneous mass. And you get closer, you may see trees and rivers, etc. And then when you go inside, you see people. It's one thing perceived in different ways. So similarly, Krishna is this Narayan, Ram, all the incarnations. It's one Advayam Gyan, it's one consciousness, it's one absolute reality. But what Krishna means is when God is fully manifest in love. And therefore in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Krishna is defined as Akila Rasamrita Murti, the embodiment of all relationships. And I've made that point many, many times. What we are more than anything else is our love. We are our parents, or we are children, or we are lovers, or we are friends, or we are servants, or we are teachers. That's who we are. So when the full love of God manifests, because in relationships, you don't manifest your full self, especially when you're in a position of superiority, then most of your nature is covered. So Krishna is when God manifests himself fully. And this is my kind of speculation, that the full manifestation of personality, of being, comes in three moods. It comes in intimacy of love, it comes in compassion, and it comes in separation. My speculation. But I'm relating that to Jagannath Puri, which is Vipralamba Kshetra. God is in the mood of separation, or we're in the mood of separation from God. That same mood in Puri, and the place has that mood. It facilitates that mood. And Vrindavan is Madhurya. It's intimacy and love, and that aspect of God and that aspect of the place is there. And Mayapur is Audarya. It's magnanimity, it's compassion. And that has that mood. Of course, to enter into that mood, to have that mood revealed, you have to have devotion. In any type of relationship, only in the mood of seva or devotion is the person revealed. We don't reveal ourselves to strangers. We reveal ourselves to people who have love, and love is demonstrated by service. Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishnam, Stapita Rupa Goswami, he knew the secrets of God. How can he know the secrets of God? Because Lord Chaitanya saw his attitude manifest in service. And therefore he gave himself to him. He gave himself to him. So it's not just, I'm kind of settling into the Dham after, it was actually quite a pleasant trip, because I went with Bhaktivedanta Goswami. It had such a nice servant, so I didn't have to do anything. I didn't even have to think. Everything was taken care of, including the meals and the cars that came in Calcutta. And so it was relatively a pleasant trip. But getting here, I'm still entering, and entering means to demonstrate my love for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by seva. And my seva is chanting and hearing. Different people have different karma. Karma means nature. I don't do well traveling, which is ironic because I'm a sannyasi. I'm supposed to travel. I don't travel much. Everyone knows that. I go and I stay. I stayed in Govardhan for a month. Then I came here. So I'm still settling in, but I have that confidence once I become regulated. Also, I got a little caught off guard by the food. It's just people want to feed you. So I have to be a little careful. But when you enter into that mood of service, which my seva is chanting and hearing, of course, other things, writing, then Krishna reveals himself. And here, he reveals his magnanimity. And any experienced devotee who's served in the Dham kind of has that realization that the magnanimity, the mercy, is good. And I think one of the real mercy was here is on, let's see, when did I got here? Sunday, it's Wednesday, okay. Tuesday at 11 o'clock, I met with Dhanurdhara Swami. You can see how Krishna facilitates his devotees. Krishna gave him such a place. It's amazing. And such nice association. Talked to him could have talked for hours and hours and hours. And I walked to his place. It's about 30 minutes from where I stay. So that was nice too. And then I went to Bhaktivedanta Swami's class. So I'm here in Odarya Dham, the land of magnanimity. And we know what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says about magnanimity. Magnanimity is greater than mercy in the sense that kripa or mercy has a sense of being directed towards a particular person. Well, Odarya, magnanimity just has this mood of just for everyone, compassion, mercy. And that's really Prabhupada's mood. And that's our entrance into the spiritual world. Bhaktivinoda Thakur prays Jiva Doi Krishna Nam Sarva Dharma Sa. The essence of all religion is compassion. And the ultimate compassion is for the soul. Because other compassion has duality. It's not that we shouldn't help people in other ways, but it's temporary. And therefore temporary things are filled with misery also. Because as good as it gets, that's how much you lose. It's not that we shouldn't be compassionate, but the highest compassion, Namo Mahabhadanyaya, Krishna Prema Pradayate, Krishnaya, is giving love of Godhead. Jiva Doi Krishna Nam Sarva Dharma Sar. And just a reflection. I mean, anybody on this thing knows this world is Dukkhalayam Shashvatam. it's just full of suffering. You never win. On the material platform, you never win. Tamal Krishnamurti told me, he said, we always think it'd get better in the future, but it gets worse. Yeah, everyone, it gets you one way or another. It doesn't get you with health, it gets you with legal problems. It doesn't get you legal problems, it gets you with relation problems. It doesn't get you with that, it gets you with money problems. And get money. And it's not that it gets you. It's just that when your faith in happiness is self-centered, you require the world to move around your desires. And that's very difficult when you're not the controller. You want to be the enjoyer, you have to be the controller. We're not the controller. But the internal happiness, what we've gotten, what Prabhupada has given us, he's given us such a jewel. He's given us eternal life and a spirit of eternal life. And that neha bikamanasho sti pratyavayo navidyate swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayato, that is no loss of diminution. And that's our happiness, our glory, that we somehow have. As there was a Jewish mystic in the concentration camp named Ithe, I think her name was. Her first name was Itty. And she said, when you have an inner life, it doesn't matter which side of the fence you're on. So, we have an inner life, and we have to kind of work at it, and the world not moving according to our desires is moving according to our inner life. Because if it moves according to our desires, it externalizes the consciousness and fortifies the faith that we're the enjoyers and controllers. And when it moves against our will, it moves for our inner life. But I have to say, I'm still praying that the world moves according to my desires. They're not that bad, by Prabhupada's grace. But anyway, let's see what happens here. So in this particular, where we're at is, it's talking about don't take sides in Vaiṣṇavas. And the reason this is coming up, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu now, I think he's in Shantipur, and he had taken sannyas. And the Chaitanya Charitamrita, because it's the character of the life force in immortality. And part of that character, of course, is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's Acharya Leela. He's acting as a devotee, but also we see his mercy as God. So we see exchanges towards different people. And they're not all roses. It's not all sentimental love. He sometimes is very tough for a person's benefit. And this one person offended Srivas Thakur, and he came down with leprosy, and he asked for Lord Chaitanya's mercy. And Lord Chaitanya was saying, you haven't seen the depths of suffering. That's what Jayadvaita Maharaj counseling my friend Gita Nagari. I said, I'm suffering so much. He said, you haven't seen the depth of suffering. Great counseling. You haven't seen the depth of suffering. But that's what Lord Chaitanya told to this leper. You ain't seen nothing yet. You think the leprosy is bad? You've offended a Vaiṣṇava? Wait till you see what Yamaraj has in store for you. Lord Chaitanya was unrelenting. And because he's also setting the example, an example which we have to understand. We have to understand Prabhupada said Vaiṣṇava is not ordinary thing. And I was just reading in the CC today a very important point. I forgot what in reference it is, but how the Supreme Lord doesn't take offense for the devotees who served him. He doesn't take offense for the devotee. So that served him, not the ones that offended somebody else. But that kind of liberality is there also, and very strong. And actually in Bhaktivedanta Swami's class, he was up to the Shikshastika. And I have to give him credit that he's been teaching for 12 years, and his main students are Yugalapriti and Jagadish. They've studied intensely all the books for 12 years or 11 years. They've gone through everything with tests, with homework, with so many. They've gone through so many books. Now they've opened their own school for Russian people. And it's really nice to see. But he was so it was on the Shikshastakam, and he was going over the different verses. So the second verse, I think, I have no attraction because I've committed offenses. And he has a syllabus where all the commentaries are lined up, and there was one about, if you offend the holy name, the only thing you can do is chant the holy name. There's no prayaschitya, no atonement. And he made a very kind of elaborate explanation about that. So, but this person, he offended the devotee. So Lord Chaitanya was very heavy, and he only could go to the devotee, and naturally the devotee gave forgiveness. But then, because Krishna's Kaviraj doesn't want one to misunderstand the exchanges between devotees, even pure devotees, they gave the example of Satyabhama and Rukmini, and this on that level, and among Vaiṣṇavas, it's different on that level. He wants to explain. And therefore, if we see on that level a kind of exchange with differences of opinion, we shouldn't take sides. And actually, Madhavananda and Krishna Kun came to see me today, and we were just discussing that it's okay that Vaishnavas may have different perspectives. In fact, we know there's 4 Vaishnav Sampradayas, and they're all authorized, and there are differences. And I'm going to share you one point. Let's see if I can. Yeah. So when I was with Niranjan Swami, he just wanted to share with me one of his favorite quotes, and I think it's so important. I think it's so important. Okay, you got to listen carefully. It's really, really important. just listen carefully. And he really wanted to share with me because we were discussing, naturally, we're discussing different things and how people look at different sides, and some issues where people look at different sides of the issue. So it's a very, very interesting thing where Krishna is described Virodha Bhanjika Shakti. He removes all contradictions. So, quote, Sri Krishna, the embodiment of eternality, absolute knowledge, and unlimited bliss, possesses an inconceivable potency called Virodha Bhanjika Shakti, removing all contradictions. By the influence of this potency, all apparently contrary principles and natures are unified and eternally present. Form and formlessness, omnipresent and localized, beautiful physical appearance, equal disposition towards all, and special favor and mercy towards devotees, birthlessness and taking birth, being the supreme object of everyone's worship and accepting the position of a cowherd boy, omniscience and accepting the position of a human being, impersonalism and personalism, and many such unlimited contradictory characteristics are wonderfully harmonized and manifest in Sri Krishna's personality. And furthermore, they are engaged in assisting the activities of Srimati Radhika, the embodiment of the highest spiritual emotions and pleasure-giving potency. Those who doubt and contest this truth are truly deprived. Before one begins a debate, one must consider that human logic is very limited. Hence, it has no jurisdiction in the realm of the unlimited, inconceivable principle. The fortunate soul discards dry rhetoric and cultivates faith in the evidence of the revealed scriptures, the Vedas. The seed of faith sprouts and gradually grows into a creeper of devotion to finally rest at the lotus feet of Krishna. So it just makes so much sense. If there's an absolute God, then he's not subject to the laws of material nature by which we form a, that's from Dasamula Tattva 4. I'm not sure which book, but I'll find that book. But it's such a satisfying concept. And I've discussed this, the reasonability of that concept. That if there's an absolute reality, an absolute truth, he's not confined to the laws of material nature by which logic is framed. And therefore, in the Sri Ishopanishads, it starts with an inconceivable thing, that the Supreme Personality of God, it is perfect and complete. And even though so many units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. Then the next verse says, Tadejati, Tadnaijati, Tadure, Tadvantike, Tadantarasya Sarvasya, Tadu Sarvasya. He walks and he doesn't walk. He's near and he's far. He's inside, he's outside. So if one serves the Supreme Lord with one hand and gives him distress with the other hand, then how can one be benefited? So the point I was making is, there may be different truths that seem opposed, but they're also truths. And there's different sampradayas, different perspectives. And therefore, there may be some contention on a higher level. and we shouldn't take sides. One who understands that all devotees are limbs of Krishna's body is a most sober person. One time, a godbrother of mine went to a senior Vaiṣṇava in Vrindavan, and he was complaining about one devotee that all he does is manage, he doesn't, and that Vaiṣṇava, and these senior Vaishnavas, they're quite realized and experienced. That senior Vaishnava said something very interesting. He told them, and there are different types of Vaishnavas. Simple. And I heard an analogy. I don't know if I made it up or I got it someplace else. Just like there's different shapes of metal. If you put them in fire, they all become fire. So they all become the same in one sense. But on the other sense, they maintain this individuality at the same time. So it's an important lesson to learn. And that same Vaiṣṇava once told me, he said, no, it was another Vaiṣṇava. I think it was Prabhupada's godbrother, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, in one book. He said, we should judge a Vaiṣṇava not by the ordinary dealings, but by the inspired side. Of course, that has parameters. His personality, his nature. This is not serial killers. But we should judge a Vaiṣṇava by the inspired side and not by the ordinary dealings. And a person who understands this is a very sober person. I was once going to write a book on the CC called Lessons from the CC, where I extracted all principles of Vaishnava behavior, because I thought this would be the perfect book for Vaishnava etiquette and things. And I kind of got inspired here to start it and make it part of my morning sadhana, to kind of do that a bit. And, it's just beautiful. It's beautiful how Vaishnavas act. We should learn that culture. That's what I see sometimes. It's my own perception, is that living in India was very important for me in spiritual life, because you saw the culture living and through the Vaishnavas and how they behave. Not even Vaishnavas, just gentlemen and people. And I sometimes see that people divorced from that, they can be very learned, even in Shastra or languages, etc., but not know the simple things about the culture and the respect and things that become ingrained in you when you actually see how real Vaishnavas who've grown up in a culture that facilitates that kind of exchange. So it's one who regards Krishna and the Vaishnavas as non-different while serving the lotus feet of Krishna is delivered from material existence. I once heard a very beautiful thing. I think it comes up in the next verse too. No, but what was a very beautiful thing was someone described, in these, well, it's in the Bhagavatam, but in the Satya Yuga, the deity worship, it's mentioned in the Bhagavatam, was started in Treta Yuga. And I mentioned because because what the deity is the receptacle for God. And previously in Satya Yuga, people were so in the mode of goodness that you wouldn't need deities. You can just respect other people as receptacles of God. But when Treta Yuga began and the qualities of people were less, then two things happened. People became less qualified to represent God, and people became less qualified to worship people who represent God. And therefore the sages established the deities. And that's why it's sometimes said it's for neophytes, because it has this absolute standard that God is there, and they perform the ceremony called pran pratishta. You establish the life, and God manifests fully. The deity becomes God. It's not an idol. But the person described the hypocrisy of worshiping God in the temple and going out and offending someone. It would be described like a relationship where maybe the husband or the wife treats their spouse nice in public and then gives them hell at home. Then the relationship is hell. It's not niceness. So it's the same thing in the relationship with God. You worship in the deity, you worship him in the temple, but then you go outside and you offend him in terms of the devotees. And the previous story, really, he said, offending Vaiṣṇavas wreaks havoc on one's spiritual life. So the carefulness in which people would deal with other people was such an essential part of that. And that's why Lord Caitanya had that particular story. One who chants or hears these auspicious topics never commits offenses to the Vaiṣṇavas, because you hear what happens when you do. You hear what happens when you do. Hena mate Shri Gaurasundar Shanti Puri Achena Paramanande Advaita Mandira. In this way, Sri Gaurasundar enjoyed transcendental happiness as he resided in the house of Advaita at Shantipur. So this is finished now. We got this kind of view of his dealings now. And then the next thing what happens is, the next day it becomes Madhavendra Puri's. It becomes Madhavendra Puri's appearance day, his birthday. And actually, I actually was there, but I'm glad I went back. And I think we can start with that the next time, because Madhavendra Puri, it's going to describe, Advaita looked around and he didn't see Vaiṣṇavas. He saw mostly Shaktas. In other words, they worship Durga and the material energy, or he saw impersonalists. We didn't see Vaiṣṇavas. That was also discussed in Bhaktivedanta Swami's class. How the simplest thing is the most difficult to do. Just like if you offend someone, the simplest thing is to do is say, I'm sorry. The hardest thing to do is to say, I'm sorry. From the ability to say those words and do it, you have the qualification. From your attitude, you don't. And the most difficult thing in the material world is to transcend the false ego. But on the material platform, it's the easiest thing to do. Paying obeisances is the easiest thing to do. But for an egomaniac, a materialist, person conditioned in postmodernism, it became very difficult to do. So therefore, Prabhupada said, the process is simple, the application is difficult. The process is simple, the application is difficult. Because anyone can do it. It's so simple. The spiritual world is right there. All we have to do is surrender right now. All you have to put our hands up from this day, Krishna, I'm yours. Oh, what I have to do in my heart to say that, what things I have to give up, what things I have to accept. And mainly, I have to give up the conception that I'm the enjoyer and controller and fully embrace the idea that I'm the servant of God. And that's such a wonderful thing. Without envy that I'm not in that position. Why is there someone else but me? Yeah, so, okay. It's a little early, but if anybody have a question or comment, for Jamuna Jaya, you can share your reflection, and then anybody has a question. Is she there today? Maybe she had to go to work already. She was there. Okay, anybody have any question? Comment, reflection? Okay, anybody would just like to say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Caitanya-bhāgavata here.
Love the picture of yourself there. Nice to hear from you. I pray everything's well.
Yes, it is. Snow here today in Connecticut.
Haribo.
Haribo.
Good to see you.
You too. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Haribo. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Narmasaki, you're there?
Haribo. Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you for the class.
At your farm? Okay.
Yes, but it's dark now.
Okay, Haribo.
Okay, Haribo.
Hey, Malata Radha, Shaim Kishore.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Nice to see you again.
So now you're in the summer there, right? You're getting into the summer, right?
Yeah.
How are you, Maharaj?
Okay, the reception is not so good, but nice to see both of you. And I'll probably see you probably in Colombia, most likely, right? We'll have a great time.
Yes,
Yeah.
Something to look forward to, right?
Right, Maharaj.
Just fill me up with those cold pressed juices. Wow. Amazing. Okay, anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Lakshmani, let's talk this week, okay?
Okay. I'm really feeling it like that you're in Mayapur, and I want to be there like anything.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah. There's no, we'll talk about it. There's no, I mean, Niranjan Swami, I guess, he'll meet you out on the porch, maybe like that. That's about the limit of the restriction. And then on Friday, the Indian calendar is in January, but, disciples want to do something for his solar birthday or something like that, which he said, absolutely not. There's only one ceremony that you can do, a small one, but we'll come over for prasadam. Yeah. Mayapur it's just a nice place.
Yeah, I'm hearing you talk about all these devotees and situations, and traveling is really difficult. I mean, I just went to visit my daughter in the United States, and that was enough of a pain in the neck. That
I guess, it wasn't difficult going from America to India at all. You just fill out a form and then it's so easy. They don't even look at it and then you go.
Okay, well, that's easier than getting back into Canada, because when you get back into Canada, you have to have all your stuff, your shots, your, I don't know, test
Yeah.
some kind of
Yeah,
PCR. blah, blah.
it's right. Yeah, in America, there's not much restriction at all. The football stadiums are filled, packed to the rafters.
I don't
And
know.
in
Now
India,
things are going through a little bit of metamorphosis. We'll see what happens.
and in India, I was in Govardhan, and I was sitting there by Dangati and watching, Purnima, and thousands of people.
India is India. They don't, it's
But
social
I'm just saying,
distancing in
thousands
India
of
means one
people
finger
without
between
masks,
two people.
right? Thousands of people without masks, and I just thought this works. Social distancing in India, it works because they don't have any COVID there anymore, so it must work.
They have some, but anyway, yeah.
Ah,
It's
right, right.
it's
They
not
have
even
this-
only that. It's
they also
just
have dysentery and things like that, but right
and
now this.
malaria and dengue. I'm not
Okay.
worried about any of those things. I mean, I've spent so much time in India, and half a year for the last 14 years, I've been just living in India.
All right, let's
But so I'm
talk early next week, maybe on Monday or something. We'll
okay.
coordinate the time.
Yeah. And as far as your class today is concerned, my thought is, it stems from the thought, when in doubt, leave it out, because the whole question is, it comes with what is an offense to a Vaiṣṇava, and who's a Vaiṣṇava anyway, right? Sometimes we think, well, that no one's a Vaiṣṇava.
No,
except
I think we our conception of what a Vaiṣṇava is sometimes is no one.
well, Bhaktivinoda Thakur and
And our conception of offense, of what is an offense, is nothing. So I think we have to switch it around, make a more broad conception of what is a Vaiṣṇava, and make a more strict conception of what is offense.
That's why I
And
say, when in doubt, leave it out. If you're not sure what an offense is, then just be really careful. Don't say
Be
anything.
much more cautious.
Don't
Be
say
much more
anything.
cautious. Yeah, be much more cautious. Yeah.
The
Okay.
culture of internet, and the speedy need to respond to everything really fast, and the ability to
Well, what happens is I'm preparing for one Monday morning greeting. I don't know what it's called, but someone asked me to watch this. I'm not on Netflix, but somehow it was on Netflix, and somehow someone sent it to me, called The Social Dilemma. And it described how the internet controls minds.
Mhm.
It described the whole business model, and it plays on people. Their whole idea is they're selling you to companies, to advertising companies. So they're selling you. That's how they make their money.
Mhm.
And they have to predict your behavior. So they have to know everything about you. And their goal is, their business model is to get you attention as much as possible. The more they get your attention, the more they know about you, the more they can predict with certainty what they can market to you. So the whole idea is to get your attention. It's antithetical to yoga, because it's to get your attention. But the point is, they play on different things. And one thing they play on is anger. So what they do, that's one of the things they play on. When they induce people to get on it, who are, one of the things is people are angry, because this is how they make money. They find out about you, they get you on, and the more they get you on. So, and also the fact of the matter is that Prajalpa, idle talk leads to offense inevitably. So I want to write this because I realize it's actually destroying the spiritual lives of Prabhupada's movement. Because even if you're not committing offense, what they do is they build a model of you. they know everything about you, and they build a model of you. So they know they can move, they can influence your behavior to just get you on that more and more and more and more and more. And then the more data they get, the more they can predict you, the more they can predict you, the more they can sell you. And it's just a whole new business model.
It's like it's like they manipulate your free will. And
Oh, they do. Wait till I write. It's going to be one of my Monday morning greetings, but I want to really get it down because people have to know how much they're being controlled. And, not by the highest ideals. Okay, let's speak on Monday, okay? Make a
Yes.
note of that, and probably, what's the earliest in the morning you're ready to talk? Because there's such a difference.
This time the same time as your class on Monday is good for me.
Okay, let's do it at that time.
Okay,
About 7:30 on Monday is good.
okay.
Let me know. Yudhisthira, hi, Bo.
Morning,
Hare Krishna,
Maharaj, from
I'm
here.
gonna
Good
go.
morning.
Thank you
Nice
so
to
much
see
for
you.
your association.
Hi, Bo.
I was thinking that, who and what is a devotee would be a nice topic sometime.
Yeah. Okay, I'll think about it.
Because, you think that time is the one thing that separates someone from growing into a more devotional life. But time is only relative here. So therefore, without the relativity of time, everyone should be respected.
Well, I heard something that a Vaiṣṇava doesn't judge someone for who they are. They don't judge someone for their past. They judge someone for their potential.
Perfect.
Thank you. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hi, Bo. Yasaman, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much for the class.
Okay.
Thank you.
How's your daughter doing?
Yeah, she's fine. We are in touch. Yeah, she's fine. 2 weeks, nearly 2 weeks passed, and 2 more weeks is remaining.
She's enjoying. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you
Nice
very
to
much.
see you. Haribo.
Thank you. Haribo.
Okay. Anybody else want to say hello?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Tota Gopinath here.
Haribo, Tota.
Haribo.
Greetings from Mayapur.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Anybody
Hare
else?
Krishna. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Wait a
Krishna
second.
Premi.
We're just
10 minutes away.
100 yards away, and we have to talk by the internet. We should have a personal. You should get a personal darshan.
Yeah,
I will come tomorrow for lunch. Okay.
Yes. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Okay, I will come over for lunch.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Haribo. Okay. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Bhagavata. Thank you for class.
Haribo.
Haribo.
Nice to see you.
Great to see you as always.
Okay. I'm gonna head out now, Haribo.